We'll call to order the Board of Zoning Appeals. Would you please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Gary Farley.
Here.
Amber Brown.
Here.
Jerry Sartain. Joe Machado. William Harper.
Here.
Renee Curtis.
Here.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes.
We have a quorum.
You have the minutes of the September the 8th meeting. Are there any changes or additions to those meeting minutes? Renee, you would spot it if we had
I
it.
would.
You
I'll
have
make
a motion that it be approved?
Yes, sir.
Do we have a second? Call the roll, please.
Gary Farley.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
William Harper.
Yes.
Renee Curtis.
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes, they are approved. We have a couple of housekeeping items that we'll get into before we get into our regular meeting today. Certainly want to acknowledge Nick's new addition to his family. I know he's proud of it, and congratulations, Nick, our county attorney. I also want to recognize Renee Curtis, Mike Curtis, and myself. We've been appointed to a 5-year term beginning November the 1st for 5 years, so we won't have to deal with this again for a while. And Mike, this is your first time. We want to recognize you being here for the meetings and wish you well. Thank you. And I certainly want to recognize Commissioner Rather and Piercy, who felt sorry for me, I think, and nominated me from the floor, and I think I got 18 votes out of 19, so I guess the County Commission was been satisfied with what I've done over the years, so I was very appreciative of that, and the County Commission for re-nominating me. I've asked the planning office to set up some training for us. It's been a long time since we've had eye-to-eye training. And I've asked them to look at presentations from Doug and from Danielle, from Tanya, and from Nick, to really get Nick in there on his schedule, because we've got a lot of questions that we need to ask. And I'm a real believer in following the legal process, and doesn't always sit well with the general public, but we have to follow the law, the rule of law. So I think if we can get those scheduled, Daniel's going to try to get that done for us. In the coming months, we're required 4 hours. Some of you may do something else, but that's okay too. But it wouldn't hurt to have 8 hours of training. So, did you want to say something about that? Yeah.
I don't know if you had it on your items there, but this is, I think, Bill Harper being, is this your last meeting, Bill?
Yes, it is, and I'm going to recognize
Okay.
that in a minute.
All right, I'm sorry.
I'm not going to overlook him. Okay. Also, I've asked Renee to coordinate remember in December, after our meeting, we try to get together for our Christmas meal. And Renee's going to coordinate that for us this year, okay? And November meeting, just let her know how many is going to be in your party, and that way she can make arrangements at that time. So, and again, our next meeting is November the 9th. So that's on a Tuesday. Now, Bill, this is Bill Harper's, our last meeting with Bill for a while. And Bill, I'd like you to come up here to the podium. Let you know you have done a wonderful job as a member of this group, and we all respect your intelligence and your ability to work with the BZA and your good attitude. We have a great deal of respect for what you've done in this time. And I'm sure you're going to be around for a while and doing some other things. On behalf of the planning staff, the county attorney, and the BZA, and the county government, we want to present you with this plaque of appreciation.
Wow, isn't that nice?
For the job that you've done for the government and for
thank
the
you.
county. And you have to say something now.
You've all become friends, more than just people working one way or the other. And I appreciate your camaraderie, and you are friends. And I'm going to be at your Christmas party. Thank you, sir.
Have I missed anything?
You covered it.
Okay, we're ready for our meeting. The first item of business we have is a request by Candace Yates, who is requesting accessory. This is a special exemption for an accessory dwelling. What do you have on that, please?
Thank you. Application 2021-26 involves the location at 5888 Sledge Road. It's a request for special exception approval for the establishment of an accessory dwelling unit involving a property located in the RM zone. And Ms. Yates would like to establish a double wide as a principal dwelling upon this property that is already developed with a single wide mobile home. The existing single-wide mobile home is occupied by the applicant's father, and he will continue to live there once the double-wide is placed onto the property where Ms. Yates will reside. So it will be a family member living on the property. And the reason that she's having to come before you for special exception is the single-wide will become the accessory dwelling unit once the double-wide is placed upon the property, and that's automatically requires a special exception from the Board of Zoning Appeals because it is a single-wide. Ms. Yates has investigated as to whether or not the site can support an additional septic system for the principal dwelling, and she's already obtained that information. So it's feasible to establish another dwelling on this property. And we posted the sign on the property. We may have received one informational call right after the sign was posted. No one has indicated being opposed to this request, and we find that it meets the criteria for special exception approval. And so I'm just going to show you some photos of the surrounding area. This is taken from the driveway, and you can see how far off the road the existing single wide is. And it's just large open area tracks, and across the street you've got some treed vacant tracks. This is just an approximate plan. It's not exact, but the double wide will be placed closer to the front of the property. And that concludes our presentation.
Do we have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around to the podium, please. Give us your name and any additional information you want to share about this request.
My name is Candace Yates. I mean, they kind of said most of everything. We have already got the perk site, so it will hold what we're asking for it to hold, bedroom-wise and size-wise. we're just wanting to be on the same property so I can help take care of my father, but yet he can still remain independent at the same time.
You have any questions, anyone? Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Do we have a motion on this or any further
I
discussion?
so move that we
Have a
accept.
motion by Bill that it be approved. Do we have a second? Have a second.
Did you want to open the public hearing?
Yeah, we will. I'm sorry. Got to back up on that. We'll open this, there's no one here, but we'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this. Close the public hearing. Now I'll accept the motion.
I so move that we accept.
And we have a second. Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Gary Farley.
Yes.
Amber Brown.
Yes.
William Harper.
Yes.
Renee Curtis.
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes, it is approved. The next item we have is a request for special exemption for a non-commercial storage facility to be used for personal storage. What do you have on that, please?
Thank you. Application 2021-27 involves the property located at 8655 Highway 269, Bell Buckle Road. It's a request for special exception approval to allow the establishment of a non-commercial storage facility to be used for personal storage upon the property located in the RL zone. And Ms. Hollis approached staff weeks ago with it's her intention to ultimately subdivide this property, separating the building towards the front of the property from the residential dwelling that's located towards the rear of the property. She would like to sell the residential dwelling and keep the metal building located towards the front of the property for personal storage. Now, in our discussions, she's indicated that she wants to subdivide it to a half-acre lot, which if the site does not have septic soils, they cannot reduce the lot size below 1 acre in the RL zone. That's one of the requirements that we have. The RL zone allows for flexible lot sizes, but certain conditions have to exist. Otherwise, it's a minimum of a 1 acre lot area. We have received some phone calls from surrounding neighbors and people in the neighborhood with questions about the request and concerns that the structure has been used for commercial purposes, and that it also has been used for residential purposes. And I believe the structure has not been approved for residential purposes or inspected for that, and we're not aware of the septic system that would be serving that structure. The applicant is asking in advance of subdividing approval to allow her to continue to use the structure for a personal storage facility once the remaining area is sold off. That includes the home. The structure would be standalone, and it would not be suitable for residential development if it does not have septic soils, and therefore she would like to use it, to use it for personal storage. Under this provision, it cannot be used for commercial activities and or living arrangements, or even contain any outdoor storage. Let's see. These are photos of the surrounding area. Now, keep in mind that one of the criteria for this specific request is that you must have a minimum of 1 acre. Now, we based our review based on what she had indicated, a half acre. It was what she wanted to create. We've not seen a subdivision plat, so she could still modify that configuration to meet the 1 acre requirement, because that would be required anyway when she goes to subdivide. So these are photos of the surrounding area, and I apologize that this is complicated. She's asking in advance before the need for this use is created. And some of the neighbors had expressed concerns about the property being used for commercial uses, which are not permitted in the RL zone. And they had sent a picture showing this photo of a sign that's been placed on the property advertising RV, boat, and trailer storage, which is absolutely not permitted in the RL zone. I'm not sure if that sign is still out there, but the applicant, in our discussions and discussions with Doug as well, we've emphasized that the structure, if she gets approval, it can only be used for personal storage and not for commercial uses. And that concludes our presentation.
Danielle, can you share what staff's recommendation is on this request?
We find that it doesn't meet all the criteria.
Okay, thank you.
So, especially with the 1 acre requirement, and we're always hesitant with these personal storage units on properties that cannot support a residential home, because first of all, there's not an owner that's occupying a residence on the property, and there's no investment in the community as if they use it for other reasons. Now, the applicant's indicated she's going to use it for personal storage, and that's what we accept. But there's always a concern, because if it changes hands in the future, that new owner might think, oh, it works better for this, and it's not zoned for that particular use. And then it becomes an enforcement issue that Tanya has to get involved, and then we'll find ourselves either here or before the Planning Commission and Board of Commissioners rezoning the property. So, does that answer your question?
Okay.
Did, thank you.
Is that,
Yes, sir.
okay. Cynthia Hillis, would you come around, please? For the record, just give us your name and any additional information. Come around on this side. Yes, thank you.
All right, my name is Cynthia Hollis. I do own this property in Christiana. And I thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for meeting with us today. And I'm here to propose dividing my 5.5 acre parcel into two, consisting of a metal building and 1/2 acre, and a house and 5 acres. I have several reasons for wanting to do this. First of all, I thought the meeting started at 4:30 and I was here at 4:20. So I didn't get to hear the objections or prepare a rebuttal for that, but I will try to address that in this reading I have for you. I have several reasons for wanting to separate this. I bought this property 20 years ago at an auction for the sole purpose of continuing my dog obedience training classes, which became popular, and I wanted to do it year-round. At that time, the county gave me the address for that building, 8655. This worked out perfectly for me, but the more I was out there traveling back and forth from town to this place, the more I wanted to live out there, and I've always been a country girl. I sold my house in town, brought this house in and rebuilt it, and I've made many, many improvements on it with my own 2 hands. A year or so ago, I suspended my classes at the building as I was preparing for retirement. I recently put the house up for sale, but had to store half my furniture and most of my personal effects in order to stage the home. Now I can't find anything, and I'm trying to live in 1 or 2 rooms. When the realtor and I assessed the market and value of my property, we found that the added value of the metal building drove the price up to a point that was beyond most buyers' pockets. In 6 weeks, we received zero interest. So much for this hot market. My realtor and I put our heads together and decided to try to sell the house and 5 acres only because in the tax records that she found, it lists the property of 8661 with 4.96 acres. Let's call it 5 acres. So with that in mind, we we relisted the house and 5 acres. We've received a handful of visitors, but no offers yet. And gentlemen and ladies, you don't know me, but I worked all my life for this proverbial log home in the country. But now I'm ready to retire. This property is my retirement. I'll be 70 next month with a bad knee and a hand whose thumb doesn't work. I'm ready to move on, but cannot even buy another home until I sell this one. Dividing this property would help me do so. To address the conditions listed, I'm not sure how you figured the lack of 10 feet easement when I wish to give the 5 acres and house a right-of-way or easement on the existing driveway. An almost square 125, as the frontage is, 125 by 165 would be a ½ acre. If I was held to a 1-acre parcel, it would encroach on the orchard, which I believe is a selling point of the house and farm. I ask that this condition be waived. The condition of the size of the building, I don't know how it was figured to be 2,500 square feet. When I bought the 30 by 50 building, 1,500 square feet, for my classes, and then enclosed the carport, which was 20 by 30, for an office and meeting clients, storing dog crates and agility equipment. This brings the square footage to 2,100 square feet. I ask that this 100 feet be waived. The auction of this large tract was for the purpose of a divorce settlement. I believe the husband built this as kind of a redneck hobby garage. And the way it was put up, maybe he and his brother put it up in a weekend, I don't know. Good soil was found at the rear of each tract, not the front. It was divided into 3 tracts, and then the ex-wife got 5 acres and a house. These 2 structures each have their own address, their own electric meters, each has a mailbox, as well as 2 entrances. I even get 2 tax bills, one for 5.5 acres, the other for 0.5 acres. It's like I am being taxed twice for the ½ acre parcel, which I do have the bill for it here. If I cannot divide, I cannot sell. I would feel like a hostage in my own home. I need to sell in order to buy a smaller, more manageable house in town. Nobody else seems to want that building but me. I ask for your leniency in this matter, and I thank you for your time.
There may be some questions.
There are pictures of what is being stored in there right now, and the part that I enclosed as I was working on the floor.
Gary.
Here is the tax records for 4.96 acres in the house.
You ready for some questions?
Here is the auction of 20 years ago when I bought it in December.
Well, you're raising a lot of issues that we can't deal with here. That's not our decision to make. So you want to try to answer some of these questions?
Yes?
All right.
Yes.
Well, to kind of answer one of your comments a while ago, we're not here to make a decision on the subdividing of the lot. That's not our authority.
And?
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we all understood that from the start. My question is, you actually told planning that this is
I have tinnitus, sir, please.
You actually told the planning department that this was going to be for personal storage, correct?
Yes, you know, some time ago, after I suspended my classes, I thought, I'm always thinking of, because I'm self-supporting, I'm always thinking of how to make a little extra money. Obviously, there's no call for storage at that place. I took the sign down, and apparently there's no market for that out there.
Okay, so you asked for that. All right, so in your talk a while ago, you actually admitted that that you have used it for a business. Was that business approved by the Rutherford County Planning Department or any board?
I have a conditional use permit for my dog.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, they even limited the number of dogs that would be out there, and I have jumped over hoops and planted and replanted trees to satisfy the county
Okay.
to have a, you know, it's not blanket commercial. It was conditional use for my use, and I jumped through hoops to satisfy that.
And I'm not. I'm out here to argue about what you've done. I've got some questions. All right. Have you ever lived in that storage building?
Have I ever rented it?
Have you ever stayed overnight yourself in that storage building?
You know, when I was working on the place a lot, I had a little travel trailer that I put out there. Yeah, and that's where I grew to love it because of the peace and quiet and sunsets. There is nothing, who would want to live there?
That's why I'm asking you.
No.
So the storage sign that we had up there, that's being put out on weekends for advertisement. So that was yours that you put out to advertise for storage on the weekends?
Well, I was hoping that maybe, you know, some boats and trailers could be stored there for a little extra money, but obviously there was no call for it, and it's not going to work. And if I would pursue that, I would certainly go through the county again for a conditional use permit for that.
That's all the questions I got.
Thank you. Any other questions? Mrs. Hollis, thank you. You may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this. Close the public hearing.
Will you entertain a motion on it? I don't know if anyone had discussion. Okay, I want to make a motion to deny the request because it doesn't meet the requirements. I know I have to give specifics here. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm trying to make sure this is going to make sense so we don't have any issues downstream, but oh, I don't have to share a specific on, okay, well, I just deny the request because it doesn't meet the requirements. I thought I had to have a specific on it.
As
Okay.
stated in the staff report.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, so on staff comments.
Okay, restate your motion.
That I'll deny the request based on staff comments and it doesn't meet the
False.
requirements.
Of the exception conditions not being met.
Correct.
Okay. And we have a second. Any further discussion? Call a roll, please.
Gary Farley,
Yes.
Amber Brown,
Yes.
William Harper,
Yes.
Renee Curtis,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes. Any other business? No. Thank you, everyone. You are adjourned.